Happy March, everyone. Good morning. My name is Chris Proctor. I'm a personal trainer, and I'm your go-to resource for YouTube health, fitness, and nutrition information. So make sure, if you're not already following my YouTube channel, make sure you hit that follow button. I'm going to start creating more consistent content to help you guys. This is going to be more long-form content because that's what YouTube lends itself to, unlike things like Instagram. I do post on Instagram as well. If you want to find me there, I'm at Chris Proctor Personal Trainer. So today what I want to talk about is two major errors I see people making when they are taking a GLP-1 medication. So that's something like Ozempic, Mounjaro, those types of drugs that are aiding in fat loss for people. Now, these have become very popular over the past few years, but there's the one very important thing I want you to realize about this video. This information is not meant to be given or taken as medical advice. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm a personal trainer. I'm not qualified to advise you on taking a medication or not taking medication. If you are interested in exploring your options and learning more about these two particular, about any of these particular classes of medications, that is a conversation you need to have with your doctor. So nothing in this video is going to be medical advice. It should not be interpreted as such. But what I am going to talk about are two things that a personal trainer is qualified to speak on. And those are the two major errors that I see people who are using these classes of drugs, these GLP-1 fat loss drugs, that I see them making that are really going to make their outcomes be not as good as they possibly could be, okay? So the first thing I see people doing, this is definitely the most common mistake. I know lots of people who are using GLP-1s and almost all of them are making this mistake, and that is that they are not strength training in conjunction with using these GLP-1 medications. And now here's why this is important. When you drastically reduce your calorie intake, which is usually what is going to happen when you take these GLP-1 medications because it slows down your digestion. It's going to drastically decrease your appetite, which means you're going to be eating a lot less calories. When you drastically reduce your calories, yes, you are going to see some fat loss, which is great. That's what you want. That's one of the things that's going to improve our health and our quality of life for most people that are on these medications. But the thing you need to be aware of is that you are also going to be losing muscle mass. You do not lose only fat. You will also be losing muscle mass. And a great way to mitigate that or combat that is to engage in a regular strength training program. Now, I will say that this sort of side effect has been overblown because the data has shown very clearly that it is about the same amount of muscle loss as if you were just doing a very strict restrictive diet without pharmaceutical intervention. But nonetheless, you absolutely need to and want to combat and mitigate that muscle loss. And the way you're going to do that is through regular strength training. So what you're going to want to be doing is finding a structured program to follow. If you're somebody who has some experience, maybe you can do that on your own. If you're not, then maybe you need to think about hiring someone like myself or someone else, a certified, experienced personal trainer that can help design a program for you, because the regular strength training will help you to build and maintain that muscle while you're also losing fat through those pharmaceutical interventions of the GLP-1. So that's very, very important. And please understand, this isn't something that has to take over your life. 2 to 4 days a week, 30 to 45 minutes a session is plenty of time to make in the gym, to make progress, to build muscle, and to really mitigate that fat related or weight loss related muscle loss. Because again, that is the last thing we want to happen really at any point in our lives, but also it becomes even more critical as we get older and move into our later and senior years, okay? The second thing you want to think about is, even though you are taking those pharmaceutical intervention medications, those GLP-1s, you want to make sure you're changing your lifestyle too, right? Because realistically, your lifestyle is probably what got you to the point where you're thinking about using those GLP-1 medications. So you really want to focus on, along with using the GLP-1, you also want to be modifying your lifestyle. So what does that look like? Exercise, we just talked about that. Regular strength training, right? Adding in some cardiovascular training. And yes, also you want to be eating a healthier diet for two reasons. Number one is that, you could lose weight, but if you're eating really not healthy food all the time, ultra processed foods all the time, you might be losing weight, but you still may not be improving your health very much because of the markers that can go on inside our body, things like cholesterol and all that stuff. You don't want to just be eating, garbage food all the time just because you're on this drug and you're saying, well, I'm going to lose weight no matter what, because that's the truth, right? You're going to lose weight no matter what if you're on those drugs, but you still want to be aware of what you're putting in your body, getting fiber, protein, fruits and veggies, all that stuff. Those are all things that you want to work on while you're on these drugs. And the main reason why is that as many people use them, they're looking at them as like a short-term jump start. And now that's really not what they're meant for, but that's a whole nother discussion. But if you are that person, you need to be thinking about lifestyle modification, because the reality is if you just stop using those GLP-1 medications and haven't made any lifestyle changes, you're going to gain all the weight back. And the data backs this up very clearly. There's a recent study that was published, in the British Journal of Medicine that showed when people did not modify their lifestyle, did not engage in healthier lifestyle habits, and came off those medications, within about 16 to 18 months, all benefit that had come from those medications was gone. So that meant risk factors returned. That meant potentially disease state returned. That means all that body fat that you may have lost will return. So it's really, really important that even though, yes, you're taking these GLP medications that are going to force fat loss, you also need to be thinking about modifying and living a healthier lifestyle, because ultimately that's really going to help you in the end, okay? So again, please remember, this is not meant as medical advice. I'm just speaking on the things that I am qualified to speak on as a personal trainer. If you are thinking about taking a GLP-1 medication, it's really important that you get together with your doctor, your healthcare provider, talk about the risks, the benefits, and if it is the right decision for you. But if you do choose to take them, it's really important that you're also modifying other aspects of your lifestyle, okay? So I hope that was helpful. If you guys have questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments.